Today from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out over Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
And I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
Hey, Darren!
Hey, John. John, what day is it today?
I have no idea. Time has no meaning anymore.
Oh my god, it's like a one big time loop. I have no idea. I don't know what time it is, I don't know what day it is, what month, year, week, it's just a day. Good God.
It is just a day.
And now Saturday Night Live's not here anymore for me to know what day it is. So like I just don't know. Do I have to like chop down a tree and count the rings to know what day it is? What's happening?
Yeah. That's really our only method of timekeeping anymore. Chopping the day open and counting up the rings.
That's right. So I guess I'm gonna have to go to Home Depot and get me an axe or
get you one of the day chopping axes. Sure. Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, because I'll be like, hey, I got to know what day it is, so I got to chop down this tree. That's the only way I know to do it. If you know if anybody knows any other way, please let us know.
Nope. I checked your numbers and the science checks out.
Fair enough.
But anyway, while we're muddling through, we thought since season 45 of SNL just wrapped up, we would do another season in review show. Yay!
Hooray! Hooray for this! Hooray!
Yay! And this is just going through the highs and the lows of the season, talking about the notable things that happened and the sketches and the musical guests we particularly liked.
And what a season it's been. My lord. We've had musical guests and celebrity cameos, at-home episodes.
Eddie Murphy returning to host.
Yeah, Eddie Murphy. Good. I never thought that would happen.
That's huge. Even though that is a thing that has happened months ago at this point, I still have a bit of trouble believing that it actually happened.
Yeah, like as most people know, like I think for a while Eddie Murphy wasn't coming back because of the whole David Spade dust up from years ago, and I don't know. It just seemed like yeah. Oh boy, that was boy, yikes! I'm tugging out my collar right now for those that can't see. And it just seemed like he'd kind of outgrown the show and was just over it. Like he was a bigger star than the show, and I was prepared to be like, all right, I guess he's just never coming back. That's it. But lo and behold, we have an episode with Eddie Murphy and all his hit characters. It's a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, that was something else. Let's see. There was also a little bit of turnover in the cast before the top of the season. Leslie Jones announced that she was not coming back. After she was on the show for almost 5 full seasons, apparently, because she joined the cast 1 month into season 40, according to Wikipedia here. Yeah,
it is our first season without Leslie Jones, and I don't know. So far it's so good. I think it was all right.
Honestly, I can't really say that I missed her. She had grown on me by the end, and I think the show finally. It took a long time, but I think the show learned how to use her well, and I think she grew into the role a little bit, but yeah, I can't really say I miss her.
Yeah, I was trying to be all nice about it in PC, but yeah, it's like I don't know. I thought that the season, I don't want to say was stronger without her, but I mean, with the new cast members they got, it definitely breathed a new life into it. I'll say that.
Yeah, and that's always the nice thing about the show is that when you bring new cast members, then they do bring new life into the show because it's like, oh, hey, look at this cool new person and all the cool things that they can do. And hopefully it's not, oh, God, this new person's really annoying.
Yeah. And one of the new people we got our first Asian cast member this season on the show, Mr. Bo Yang, who's been a writer for SNL for a while, and now he got to step out into the spotlight. And I would say this season was a pretty strong season for him. Like he got a good amount of screen time, and he was able to sort of establish himself and what he can do early on. I mean, there was the Soul Cycle sketches, and he was on Weekend Update quite a bit with his characters.
Right.
Like the world got to know Mr. Bo Yang this season, definitely.
Yeah. We have a nice sense of his personality, and yeah, I thought it was a strong first season for him, and I look forward to seeing more of him. He's a kick.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also thought the season was very strong for Chloe Fineman too. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, one thing we've talked about is how like the newer cast members don't get too much, airtime. They don't get too much time to shine. And that's a change I think is like kind of come about this season. I think maybe the people in SNL have heard us, and like all the new cast members have gotten good, chunky, meaty moments to really showcase what they can do. I mean, Ego's gotten a good amount of screen time, Bowen and Chloe too. Like, she's had a few weekend update, desk segments, and especially and definitely with the at home episodes where
Mm-hmm.
she's done like all her characters and all her impressions. Like she's really kind of stepped out in the spotlight this season.
Yeah. It was a good, strong first season for her too. She got to show off a lot of her versatility, and it's it's nice for new cast members to have a first season where they're not just playing waiters in sketches or something like that, or just
Right.
setting up the established cast members. Um, so that was fun. I mean, maybe it's just because things move at a faster pace now, and we're throwing them into the deep end more. But it's a nice change. It's fun to see. We also had Ego Nwadum continue on as a featured player after she debuted back in season 43, I believe, right?
Right.
Yeah. So she was still good. I think she had a pretty good year. I think she's pretty well established. Maybe not as well established as Chloe or Bowen, but she's doing all right.
Yeah, no, she's doing good. She's getting a good amount of her own sketches out there, and I mean, she's had a few like weekend update segments of her own to really
Mm-hmm.
showcase what she can do. Like she's like it's, I mean, it really is interesting because like I said, like that one, criticism most people have about SNL is like, oh, they never get the new people, enough screen time, and it's like I said it before, it seems like they're really giving the new people a chance to really show what they can do, and it's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And let's see, we also had Heidi Gardner and Chris Red, who were both repertory or featured players. They were both bumped up to regular cast members.
Yeah, absolutely, and well deserved. I mean, Heidi and Chris. I mean, I've sung their praises on this podcast many a time, and I don't know, like both of those cast members, they really feel like they got the vibe and the feel of the show down packed. They really just were able to like kind of work their way into it, and they kind of feel like they've been there for like a while, like longer than they have been.
Yeah, it seems actually they both go back a little further than I realized. They were both originally hired in 2017 at the start of season 43, and I was thinking this was like their second year, but no, this apparently was the end of their third season. So yeah, kudos to both of them.
Yeah, I mean they both work really well with the other cast members, and like they're both like when they're both on in a sketch, they really kind of know how to sort of pop and show what they can do. Especially like Heidi, definitely like whenever
Mhm.
she's the focus of a sketch, you really kind of pay attention to what she's doing, like her character work and like the way she's interacting with the other people in the sketch. And I don't know, Chris Red too. Chris Red really, I really enjoy him as a performer. Like the way, like he has this thing where he does where his eyes get really wide, like for
Mhm.
comedic effect, and it's like I don't know why it makes me laugh and it makes me smile, and like I don't know, I'm looking forward to more and more years with both of those players.
Yeah. And there was also going to be another cast member who was originally scheduled to be added at the beginning of this season, of season 45, who never ended up on the show, Mr. Shane Gillis, which was we talked about this briefly before we started recording, and that was like this big brouhaha for like 3 weeks, and then who remembers that now?
Yeah, I mean definitely if you were in the comedy community like we are, we're big time players in the comedy world. We're
Oh,
we're
sure, yeah,
yeah
100%.
we're kind of a big deal. We
We're moving Jakers.
and like, but yeah, that whole Shane Gillis thing was a big deal for a while. Like, he said these, inappropriate comments on his podcast, and they cost him his job in SNL. And it was a big deal for a while. And unfortunately, it kind of took away the shine that, Bowen Yang was getting for being the first Asian cast member. And like now, that's all kind of gone away. It's just been kind of swept under the rug.
Yeah, I mean, you asked me before we started recording, and it was like, oh, do we want to talk about this? And I was like, is there anything new to say? Because, I mean, it's not like there have been any new developments in that story. It's like, he's still not on the show. So,
breaking news, he's still not on the show.
Yeah, and I have no idea how his stand-up career is doing or anything like that. I looked at a little of his stand-up online, and I didn't find him terribly funny. He wasn't really my cup of tea. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, I think everybody's stand-up career right now is kind of at a standstill.
Well, yeah, of course, that's a given. I'm talking about when the controversy broke.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he was still getting booked in places, for all the people that like are saying are anti-Shane, there's people that are like pro-Shane that are like, you can say whatever you want, Second Amendment, blah blah blah, like places like he was still getting booked in Jersey and upstate New York and Long Island and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, I doubt he's hurting, and it gives him. Hell, that gives him like a little cachet. He could be like the guy who was too dangerous for Saturday Night Live.
He was too real, man, too raw. They couldn't handle him.
But I mean, honestly, I don't think I even remember the specific things that he said. I mean, that's just how my brain works. I just tend to forget about that stuff that doesn't matter too much. So
yeah, I don't think anybody remembers. They just know he said something bad, and he's a bad person, and that's all. Like, if you ask somebody what he said, I don't think they could tell you.
Yeah. I know he used some sort of slur, and I think it was like a slur against Asian people, because I think that kind of tied in with the Bowen Yang thing, which is it's just unfortunate because that automatically puts Bowen Yang on the spot.
Yeah, that was a bit of a brouhaha. Like, I think a lot of people thought that they would address it on the show. They kind of did, but not really. But like, it wasn't anything too like memorable. They didn't have like some big clap back, as the kids say.
Yeah. But anyway, should we? I thought we'd do kind of something similar to what we did last year in our review show, where we talked about our favorite musical performances and our favorite sketches of the year. And this is just going to be kind of a free-form discussion. We'll go back and forth. But before we do that, I thought we could run through all the hosts and musical guests that the show had.
Let's do it.
Okay. I got a list up here. I'm just going to read that. We had the season premiere with Woody Harrelson and Billie Eilish. Then it was Phoebe Waller-Bridge from Fleabag and Taylor Swift as a musical guest. October 12th, David Harbour and Camila Cabello. October 26th, Chance the Rapper was both host and musical guest. November 2nd, Kristen Stewart and Coldplay. November 16th, Harry Styles, host and musical guest. November 23rd, Will Ferrell and King Princess. December 7th, Jennifer Lopez and DaBaby. December 14th, Scarlett Johansson and Niall Horan. Am I pronouncing that right? I don't even remember how to pronounce that person's name.
Yeah, it's Niall Horan. He was in that boy band that I can't remember right now.
Okay. Obviously made a big impression on me.
Yes.
December 21st, Eddie Murphy and Lizzo. January 25th, Adam Driver and Halsey. February 1st, JJ Watt and Luke Combs. February 8th, RuPaul and Justin Bieber. That might be the weirdest combo that we had.
Yeah, that was a weird one.
That's kind of out of left field there, but that's appealing just because it's so out there. February 29th, John Mulaney and David Byrne. March 7th, Daniel Craig and The Weeknd. And then after that, we had the whole coronavirus thing hit, and we had 3 at-home episodes. April 11th, there was Tom Hanks doing a host segment, and we had Chris Martin from Coldplay. April 25th, there was the second at home. Let's see. They didn't have anybody introduce that, but
well, no, they had Brad Pitt for the second.
Oh yeah, they had Brad Pitt at the beginning. You're right. It's tough to remember because the host didn't really interact. And then we had Miley Cyrus sing a song. And then the season finale was the third at-home episode, May 9th, that had Kristen Wiig introducing the show. And who was the musical guest on that one? I'm drawing a blank.
Voice the Man with a Babyface on guitar.
That's right. Okay, that's right. They did the Mother's Day number. So that was the season. They cut it a little short. They only had 18 episodes total. But still, jam-packed with stuff.
Yeah, like as you were reading it, like a lot of memories came flooding back. I was like, oh yeah, Woody Harrelson hosted. Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, like it was like because we talk about so many episodes, it's hard to keep track of everything. But then once you go down memory lane, you're like, oh yeah, huh? That was
they do all kind of blend together for me a little bit. I had to go back and refresh my memory on the sketches. Are there any shows that leap out to you like, oh, that was absolutely my favorite of the season?
You mean like the whole episode, like a full episode?
The whole episode, the whole enchilada.
As far as full episodes go, I would say the Scarlett Johansson episode.
Mm-hmm.
I thought was very strong. The Eddie Murphy episode, of course, it's Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put the Adam Driver episode just because that cold open. That I was not expecting that.
What was the cold open? I'm drawing a blank there.
Alan Dershowitz meets Jeffrey Epstein in hell.
Oh right, yes, I remember that. Okay.
I mean, like that was like that shocked me just because I don't remember. It's been a while since SNL has gotten that dark with their humor. That was almost Michael O'Donoghue level of dark. And for that to be the first sketch of the night, that threw me for a loop.
Yeah, that was something else. I'd kind of forgotten that, but that was something.
And I know this is like an unpopular opinion, just because like from what I've seen online, people weren't crazy about it. But I thought the Will Ferrell episode was pretty strong. There was about 3 or 4 sketches that I really liked, but like I know people were kind of indifferent on it, or were just were like whatever with it. But I don't know. There were a bunch of sketches in that episode that I really dug.
Yeah, I remember liking that one. There are only a few of those sketches that I remember offhand, but I do remember having a good feeling about the Will Ferrell show overall.
Yeah, like I mean, on that episode there was the first Thanksgiving, where the Native Americans and had Armisen and Maya Rudolph in it, which I liked. The pizza ad where they were in Bertucci's, they were doing a commercial for the Italian restaurant. The Wizard of Oz sketch I thought was funny. The ventriloquist sketch, which was the final sketch, which I got a kick out of, and the party song, which was like a pre-tape. Do you remember that one?
I don't think so.
It was the one where it was a pre-tape, and it has Cecily and Mikey as 2 teenage kids having a party at their house when their parents are gone. And so then it's like all their friends having a party and hanging out. They're singing a song about having a party. And then Will Ferrell plays the AP English teacher who's at the party. And they're like, why is...
Yes. Okay. I remember that now.
Yeah, and they're singing about it, but like the teacher's there, and like it's weird that he's there, but he's not there being creepy or like trying to creep on young girls or anything like that. He's actually having like a midlife crisis meltdown. He's like staring at the mirror into him, looking at himself, thinking, "What have I become? What's happened in my life?" Type of thing.
Yeah, you get a weird peek into his life, and I really like that one. That was a good one that I'd kind of forgotten about.
Yeah, I mean, and also this episode had that 12-minute Democratic debate, which was funny but also crazy long. So, I mean, depending on how you feel about that one.
Yeah, I mean, all the Democratic debate sketches, they really just all kind of blend together in one big blur for me. I mean, we had a ton of celebrity cameos coming in with various people playing candidates. Woody Harrelson came back a few times to play Joe Biden. before we brought back Jason Sudeikis as Biden, and they're really going to have to figure out a Joe Biden going forward if the show comes back. Well, when the show comes back in the fall, since he is the presumptive Democratic nominee.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll just rotate Bidens like they've been doing. Like they have Mulaney and Harrelson and Sudeikis, and they'll just have maybe they'll just have different people playing Biden and won't even comment on it.
I don't know. I think that would get old fast. I think you really need one consistent impression to center your take on Biden around. I mean, especially if he ends up winning the election, you really need a regular doing that. So
yeah, fair enough.
How they handle that going forward. I mean, because we had the stunt casting of Alec Baldwin as Donald Trump, and much to everyone's surprise, Trump ends up winning, and so Alec Baldwin ends up stuck playing Trump for the next 4 years.
Oh yeah, even Alec was like, "Oh no."
Yeah, and he's like, "Really? I still got to do this thing? Really? Okay, all right."
Yeah. But I mean, it seems like this might be the last time, because on the last episode he said, "For the last time, this is." I mean, I still don't know. I still don't know if he was officially saying, "Yeah, I'm done with this," or "This is the last time for now." Or
I am sure that is just a last time for the season. Because he's made rumblings about, oh yeah, I'm done playing him, and then he keeps coming back. I mean, so I don't take him saying that he's done especially seriously anymore.
Keeps coming back for more.
Yeah. I mean, it's very Al Pacino in The Godfather Part 3. You know, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in.
Wow.
So, yeah. So,
all right. So as far as full episodes go, which ones did you like?
Let's see. I remember liking the Scarlett Johansson one a fair amount because I think she's a solid host. Like you, I like the Will Ferrell one a lot. I always love it when John Mulaney hosts. I thought that the Eddie Murphy episode, it was kind of more an event, but I didn't think it was necessarily like the strongest episode they did of the year. It was really fun to see him revisit a lot of his characters, but it wasn't necessarily the strongest writing wise. So I was a little mixed on the Eddie Murphy episode, I think, but it was fun to see.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I can see that. Like, I'll fully admit that, like, a good portion of me enjoying the Eddie Murphy episode was just like nostalgia of seeing one of my favorite comedians do his thing again. Like when he did like the Gumby thing, and like he was still hitting those beats, and like you know, the child in me was like all happy. Like the teenage Darren was like, there he is. He's still got it. He can still do it. Hooray!
Right. I mean, absolutely. I mean, a nostalgia trip was like half the point of that episode. And it was a nostalgia trip both for Eddie Murphy and the audience, I think, because I'm sure he had a lot of fun revisiting those old characters. And the audience especially was ecstatic to see him reprise those characters. So that's fun, even if the sketches just as sketches weren't all-time greats. I think they did a few clever things, like putting buckwheat on The Masked Singer. I thought that was a neat twist. And Mr. Robinson's neighborhood, and where the neighborhood's been gentrified, that was fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like little things like that. They also did like when Velvet Jones was on Black Jeopardy, which was like so. Mm-hmm. But I mean, still, it's Eddie Murphy. Still, you gotta love him.
Yeah. I mean, they did a decent job of marrying the stuff from Eddie's day with what the show is now, and especially when you consider that Lauren wasn't running the show when Eddie Murphy was on it. So
yeah, that's true.
Kind of an interesting task.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very true.
Yeah. Let's talk about musical guests. Let me throw this question out to you, Darren. Who was your favorite musical guest of the year, and why was it David Byrne?
Bravo, sir. Bravo. I'm
just putting it out there, man. I mean, David Byrne, in my mind, he's so eclipsed every other musical guest that we had for the year. That was just an utterly amazing performance, I thought.
Co-sign. I will. Yeah, like it's not even like we're not. It's not just like our opinion. It's a fact. David Byrne was better than everybody else.
I figured you would go along with that, which is why I phrased the question that way. Yeah, I mean, David Byrne was just spectacular. Apparently, the clips of his performance on SNL have been taken down off of YouTube, so you can't really revisit them. I don't know if that's like a legal thing because of his Broadway show is going to be coming back, but it's too bad because it was a wonderful performance. It really just blew me away.
Yeah, guys, check it out on the dark web. Apparently, I guess you got to go there to find out.
But were there any other musical performances that really stood out for you over the course of the season?
I would say the Niall Horan, Horan, who was in One Direction. I just looked up. Yeah, I got a kick out of that because I didn't know anything about him. I didn't expect anything from him, but like I looked at his performance and he was like, oh, he could do a little. He could sing pretty well. He's got a little groove in his moves. So I dug that one. The Billie Eilish one I dug too. I mean, basically because of that her performance was like her in that sort of rotating room type of thing. So like technically, though, it was impressive.
Yeah, they did a lot of high production musical numbers, especially early in the season. They got really technically ambitious with a lot of this season, which was impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. There was also the Justin Bieber one where it was like him kind of dancing behind like a blue screen or something like that. Like they were definitely doing more and more. They're kind of like pushing the boundaries of like musical performance and stuff. The Halsey episode, like her performance was technically ambitious, but then they did like a lot more simpler, stripped down stuff, like the like Luke Combs on the JJ Watt episode and whatnot. So yeah, it was an interesting season music wise.
Another musical performance I was really impressed by was when Chris Martin on the first SNL at Home episode, where he just sang "Shelter from the Storm." I thought that was a really nice performance. Just low key, stripped down, acoustic, but it really spoke to me. That was really good, and I think that was one of the highlights for me musically.
Yeah, I think that's something I heard on another SNL podcast the other day where they were talking about how with the SNL at Homes, all the musical performances were musicians doing old songs. Because I guess with all this, the virus, like people are looking for, I guess, comfort and, they're looking for more of a reassuring feel. So they just kind of dip back into the older songs. Like it was Chris Martin singing an old Bob Dylan song. Right. Miley Cyrus singing an old Pink Floyd song. Yeah, and Boyz II Men singing one of their old songs for Mother's Day. So I thought that was like, that was an interesting thread through the.
Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way, but you're absolutely right. Or I guess I should say that other SNL podcast is absolutely right.
But I reset it, so we're right.
Yeah, but we agreed with it, and we co-opted that observation now. So,
hey-o.
Which SNL podcast was that? Do you remember? Do you want to give them a plug?
Yeah, sure. SNL After Party. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi to our friends at the SNL After Party. I did not hear that. That's nothing personal in that. It's just because I'm horribly behind on most every podcast I listen to. So nothing personal. I'm sure you're still doing great, though.
Absolutely. So, yeah. So music, I mean, as far as musical performances go, yeah, it's David Byrne. I mean, the man's a pro. He's been doing this forever. Like he knows how to like energize the crowd, and he knows how to like, kind of really make everybody feel the music. I mean, he's doing more movement on that stage than musicians half his age were doing. Like I've seen, like
and it was just cool to see him in just like a gray suit, barefoot, and all his backup singers and dancers had the same look, and it was just very cool and just such a high energy performance. And it was fun to hear him revisit those old Talking Heads songs. It was just great. I can't say enough good things about it.
Yeah, I mean, we went on and on that episode, and we're going to go on and on this episode because he was fantastic.
But okay, so that's the musical guest. So why don't we get into the meat of the show? Well, let's talk about our favorite sketches of the year. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, all right. Well, do you want to start?
Yeah. I mean, should I start with one of the big ones, or should I lead up to it? You think?
Whatever you feel in your heart, Darren.
Ha. All right. Um. All right. Let's start with one of the. Let's start with one of the big ones. I mean,
Let's do it.
you got to talk about it. I got to talk about it. Grouch. I think we got to talk about Grouch.
Yes, that was a strong sketch. That was a Sesame Street parody from the David Harbour show. That was basically just parodying the Joker movie, which had I think just come out. It was probably out less than a month when that show hit.
Yeah, that's about right. But it was just around the time it just came out. But yeah, my God, that might be the sketch of the season. I would say.
Yeah, that one. I mean, that one went viral, and it was really cool because it was neat. You got to see dark spins on all the Sesame Street characters, and yeah, that was something else. And production wise, it was amazing. They really did a nice job of duplicating the look of the Joker movie and getting that '70s New York gritty feel.
Yeah, I know. I think there was like also some YouTube videos on it about like the whole production of it, like where they shot what, and I think David Harbour said he kind of came up with the idea for it, and then he wrote it with Streeter and Mikey, I believe.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of my favorite sketches from this year were written or at least co-written by Streeter Seidel. I really think he is the one to watch on the writing staff. And if I were running the show, I would make Streeter the head writer in a heartbeat.
I'll agree with that. Like, yeah, everything I've seen that I really liked or like that struck my eye. It's a Streeter joint. So I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's the one to beat.
Since we're singing Streeter Seidel and Mikey Day's praises as writers right now, I'll nominate one from the Phoebe Waller-Bridge episode. This is a favorite of both ours. This is The War in Words, William and Lydia, with a soldier riding home from the front and finding out that his wife is up to all sorts of bizarre things in his absence.
Yeah, it's this is a great sketch. I mean, like they've done this before with other hosts. It's usually like a British woman,
Yeah.
hosting. They always get like, oh, she has an accent. Let's get her in the sketch.
And there's something about putting a British woman in the sketch that just makes it work beautifully. Maybe it's just the contrast between the highfalutin British accent and all the bizarre stuff that they're up to. But yeah, it works really well.
Yeah, and just Mikey Day, he plays a really good straight man.
Yeah.
He knows his lane. He's good at playing the guy who is, just like the straight guy, the straight man rather, and he's just reacting to all this insanity around him the way we, the audience, would. He's just like, oh,
Yeah.
why do you have a picture with you and Abraham Lincoln, or something like that? He's just good at that.
Yeah, I think I've said this before in another episode, but yeah, Mikey Day plays incredulous really, really well. So that makes him a very valuable straight man. And he's just like, wait, what? Why is this going on? Why are you doing? And yeah, I really like Mikey Day. He's one of my favorites in the current cast.
He's a solid guy. Like I know, like I said, like we've said before, we were jokingly on some old episodes, mixing Alex Moffat with Mikey Day, but definitely at this point the two actors have separated themselves, and they show like they're different guys, and they have their different strengths, and like they're I don't know. I sing their praises. Three cheers to them.
Yeah, they have successfully divided like an amoeba, and they are now two distinct organisms. So
Yes, high praise from us.
yes. What do you got next, Darren? What's your next on your favorite list?
All right. Well, I mean, if we're gonna stay with the Phoebe Waller-Bridge episode, I say we go to Midday News.
Yes, I was rewatching that one just when you called to start recording to refresh my memory of that because it was very early in the beginning of the season. That was a very funny sketch and edgier than the usual SNL sketch, I find.
Yeah, I believe that was written. I think that was written by Che and Ego, if I'm not mistaken. But
Okay.
it definitely, if I'm mistaken, just somebody correct me. But I love that sketch because it's like it's a sketch, like you said, it is edgier. It feels like something that would have been on Chappelle's Show or maybe even in Living Color. And
Yeah.
it's a sketch about race, but it's not a racist sketch, which I thought was interesting.
It's a midday news team, and they're reporting on various stories, and it's some sort of crime that's happening, and it evolves into there are two white anchors and there are two black anchors. The two white anchors are Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Alex Moffat, and the two black anchors are Keenan and Ego. And as it goes on, like the race that you expect the suspect to be is not the race that the person actually is, if that makes sense.
Right? Yeah. No.
Go ahead.
Well, no. Like I love the way the sketch starts off, where it's just the four news anchors at the desk just saying the news as normal, and it was just like very straightforward until I believe it's Alex Moffat talks about this crime that happened, and then he said that the suspect was white, and then Ego next to him he says, "Oh, thank God," and she high fives Keenan, and like
Right.
that's all that's commented, but you know why she did that. Like it's
Right.
like very
This is a good thing for us because that just plays into all these negative stereotypes, and we don't need that.
exactly.
And yeah, and then it's like a story about somebody who robbed a Cracker Barrel, and they're like, "Oh, well, that guy's got to be white," and yeah,
Yeah,
and
but then it becomes more and more of a competition, and like as they get more and more excited about it, I found myself getting more and more excited about it too. Like I was rallying. I was like twirling a towel around my head. I was like, "Let's do this! Let's go!"
it almost had like a horse race aspect to it. It was fun. It really just pulled you in.
Yeah, very much so. So that's definitely one of my favorite sketches. Midday News was just thumbs up for me.
That was a strong one. I totally co-sign on that one. Let's see. My next sketch would be from the Chance the Rapper show, the Tasty Toaster Tarts. Do you recall this one?
Dude, not only do I recall it, but this was definitely one of my favorite sketches of the season. I love this sketch so much.
Yeah, this was it's sort of like if you've seen one of the Sunny Delight commercials where all the kids and they're all high energy and they're like, "Hey, let's go in and get some snacks." And Chance the Rapper's character, he's pulling out all these snacks and he's got all this junk food, and it just slowly emerges that he very likely killed his parents.
Because he's saying all these snack names, and like I mean, kudos to the writers to come up with all those snack names. Like we got Bubble Tarts and Wingo Dingoes and Cherry Chompers and Flippity Doos, and then the kids are like, "Wow, you got a lot of snacks in here. I thought your parents were like super strict." And he was like, "Yeah, they were, but not anymore."
Yeah. And it just this sketch just builds beautifully, and everybody just plays it wonderfully. I mean, Chance the Rapper is just wonderfully oblivious. He has no idea that he's letting this on at all, and everyone else is just a little like, we got to get out of here. It's just really funny.
Like the kids look over. Yeah, like the kids look around the house and they see there's like a stack of unopened mail, and there's like a red stain on the carpet that they tried to scrub out.
Right. Just such wonderful specific detail in this one. I'm not sure who wrote this one. Unfortunately, YouTube, when SNL posts their sketches on YouTube, I don't think they usually credit the writers, and I wish they did, because I'd love to know a little more of who wrote which sketch. We really only find out when one of the writers or performers tweets about like, "Hey, this sketch was written by such and so." So kudos to whoever wrote the Tasty Toaster Tarts.
Absolutely. I'll see if I can find out who did it.
Okay.
But I mean, until that, but yeah, one of my favorite sketches of the season. And since we're staying on the theme of food, I want to give a shout out or a head nod to a sketch I wasn't crazy about when I first saw it, but like the more I think about it, the more I kind of like it. It's like it's grown on me, and that's the Sarah Lee sketch from the Harry Styles episode.
Okay. I was thinking it was either going to be the Sarah Lee sketch or the Lunch Run sketch, because those are both food related. Those are both on the list. Sarah Lee, that was really fun. Great showcase for Bo and Yang. Um, do you want to describe that one?
Yeah, so it's basically it's Bone Yang and Cecily Strong. They work at Sarah Lee, and they call in Harry Styles, who handles the Instagram account for Sarah Lee, because there've been some disturbing things that have been tweeted under the Sarah Lee name. Like whoever, he's been running the Instagram account, and he's been like tweeting at people like Nick Jonas, saying, "Destroy me, King, and wreck me, Daddy."
Yeah.
And he's been tweeting at like Instagram people saying, "Oh, well, I need a real king that can handle, must get rid of toxic in community." And like,
Yeah.
I think the first time I saw the sketch, I was like, "Are these phrases real?" Like, I was kind of befuddled by it, but like now, I do find myself now saying, "Must get rid of toxic in community," like way more than I thought I would.
It is a great all-purpose phrase, and I want to thank Bo and Yang for giving that to us. So, yeah.
Yeah. Like, need a real king that can handle.
Yeah, that was very funny. And there was also a very funny thing on, I can't remember if it was on Twitter or Instagram at this point, but like Sarah Lee, since they're a real company, they kind of like backed away from this sketch because it's a pretty edgy sketch. And I love that they had the guts to use a real brand name in it. It made it all the funnier. And Bo and Yang just tweeted, he was like, "Oh, too bad, Sarah Lee. You guys could have been the snack cake for gay people." He did not say gay people. He said another word that I, as a heterosexual man, cannot say. But
way to censor yourself, my friend.
But it was very, very funny.
Yeah, why do people always get weird when I ask them to spit in my mouth?
And he was like, and he's using the Sarah Lee Instagram account. He's like, "Oh, I had a threesome last night, but I still feel hollow." I mean,
yeah, he's using the Sarah Lee account as his diary. He's so sad.
And I loved it. This was one of those sketches that airs just very late at night, not because it's not funny, but just because it's edgier than the typical SNL sketch. So I really like that one. I'd also like to give another shout out to another one from the Harry Styles episode, the Lunch Run episode, where Harry Styles is this young intern in a company, and he goes off to get he wants to get a bunch of the Popeyes fried chicken sandwiches that were all the rage a few months ago.
Yes, I remember that, and like I think that's one of those things. Like, unless you're in the, I guess maybe tri-state area or in the know, like the Popeyes chickens were quite the rage a few years ago. It was like people were like killing each other just to get them.
Yeah, it was just one of those things. It was like, do you remember when the cronut was a big thing, when that was the big trendy food? It was kind of like that. Somehow people just fixated on the Popeyes fried chicken sandwiches, and I guess they were new. I still haven't had one. Have you had one of those?
I have. Like, they're way easier to get now. You don't have to you don't have to sacrifice anybody in order to get the sandwich. They're very good. I'll say that.
Okay, I should try one. I don't have a Popeyes all that near to me, but I should make a special trip and go out to Popeyes and order a fried chicken sandwich in my whitest Harry Styles voice.
Treat yourself.
Let's see. Here's one I'd like to give a shout out to. I'm not sure which episode this was in. Do you remember That's the Game?
Yes, that's the Harry Styles episode.
That was a stronger show than I realized. Harry Styles. That's a game. Good showcase for Chris Redd. He's like trying to take over this drug dealer's crew, but it quickly becomes apparent that he's really remarkably stupid, and he hasn't thought this out at all.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to mention the sketch too. I thought it was because I went back to revisit it. I liked it the first time, but then I went back and I was like, "Oh wow, I really liked it." Just because, I mean, for one thing, it's Chris Redd, and he's talking to Kenan Thompson, and Kenan is the drug kingpin, and Chris Redd is trying to do stage a coup, trying to overthrow him. And I thought it was interesting because usually when you have Keenan in a sketch, he's usually like the goofy one, like the funny one, like the one
Yeah.
who looks for the camera. In this one, he plays it very straight. He's like the serious one. He's like very,
Hmm.
he's like very serious and very, he's like low key. And like Chris Red is the silly one, like upping the comedy. So like
Yeah.
just to see Keenan in a sort of a different light like that was like I thought was really interesting.
Keenan, I think he can play a really good straight man, and I'd like to see him do it more often. I think when he's playing like the quote unquote funny one in a sketch, he has a tendency to get very hammy at times, very broad, which sometimes is good, but I'm not always the biggest fan of. But I really like how he underplays it when he's a straight man.
Yeah, I think I remember from his old days with Keenan and Kel. Like Kel was the big wacky one, and he was like the more, like
Hmm.
the Oliver Hardy, the serious one of the group. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I guess he can turn that back on and be the more serious one if need be. But it just seems like SNL likes to for him to ham it up more. But I would like to see him be more serious.
Yeah, and often, I mean, that's being a good straight man is a tough thing to do because you have to have like great timing and you have to know how to set somebody up. Well, it's not as easy as it looks. The really great straight men in a comedy sketch make it look easy, but it is not the easiest thing. And also, just a shout out to Chris Red because Chris Red plays stupid so damn well.
He's good. Like again, that he does a lot of acting with his eyes too. Like he gets
Yeah,
that wide eyed stare. Like nah, homie. Like I don't know. Like again, like I mean, I know I talked about it earlier in the podcast, but I really like Chris Red and like I really like what he's doing comedically.
yeah. He can just make his face go blank, where you just like look into his eyes, and there is like no one at home. He's really good at playing dumb people. That's a strength of his, and I look forward to seeing more of what Chris Red does on the
Yeah, like
show.
if you want to see more of that, I would highly recommend everybody watch Pop Star, the Lonely Island movie. Like he's in that. He has a good role in it, and if you like that kind of big wide eyed, no one's quite home kind of comedy that he does a lot of that in Pop Star.
Well, I'm sure we're going to tackle that movie at some point over the summer. So yeah, I look forward to checking that out. I mean, I love the Lonely Island guys, and you've been talking up Popstar to me for months. So looking
Yeah,
forward to checking that out finally.
it's legit. Uh,
You got another sketch for us, Darren?
I do. I'm gonna say one that I'm pretty sure is on your list,
Okay,
if
go for it.
if I might. Uh,
Yes,
let's talk about the I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus from the Scarlett Johansson episode.
yes, that was really good, and you were right. That was on my list. That is on my list. Uh,
Ah, Battleship.
yeah, yeah. um, this I haven't rewatched this one in a little while, but I'm due to rewatch this one because it's wonderfully twisted. I mean, I think a big common denominator in all these sketches that we like are there sketches where we didn't necessarily see the turn coming, and when you don't see the turn coming, it hits you all the harder.
Right, absolutely. So for those who don't know, it's basically it's like a pre-tape where Cecily Strong sings "I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus," and they have Scarlett Johansson kissing Santa Claus. It's done in the style of I'm not sure what's the singer I'm thinking about who sang that song originally.
I have no idea who sang this song originally. Um, I can try looking it up though. Why
Okay,
don't you continue describing the sketch?
but it has that '60s style to it, that fun, light Christmas '60s style to it. And as the song goes on, we see that the dad is actually watching mommy kiss Santa Claus, and that's like their thing. They're into this kinky
Yeah,
role play, and then the song goes on about what the daughter who saw all this go down kind of reflects, like, well, what did it say about me that I actually kind of stared at all this happening and was kind of
yeah,
into it.
yeah. And then she sort of ultimately concludes like, "Oh, I guess we all have our thing."
Yeah,
And yeah, it's just the contrast, the juxtaposition between the sort of wholesome white bread 1950s vibe of the song with all this twisted sexual shit going on underneath it. It's just hilarious. I looked it up. I saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. It is written by British songwriter Tommy Connor and first recorded by Jimmy Boyd in 1952. It's been covered by many artists, with the most famous cover being attributed to the Jackson 5.
Oh, all right. So I guess
So,
I was thinking maybe like Dusty Springfield did it or something. I don't know. I was going.
we got a whole list. We got the Ronettes, Bobby Sherman, the Four Seasons, Jackson 5, Reba McEntire, Amy Winehouse, John Mellencamp. I remember that version. Tiny Tim, the Cheetah Girls, Biff Naked, Jessica Simpson.
Biff Naked?
Yeah. And
Wow.
Twisted Sister recorded their own variation of the song onto their album, A Twisted Christmas. So,
Oh, wow.
wide variety of musical artists.
You don't say.
Yeah.
All right, that's good to know. All right,
Yeah. That was a little I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus segment.
very nice. All right, so what's you? What sketch you have? What's up next on your?
Okay, let's see what's next. What's cracking? What's shaking? Let's see. I'll give a shout out to this one because I just saw it rerun last night on the first SNL at Home episode, and it's an animated segment, Middle-Aged Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I like it.
I really dug this one. This was like fully animated. It's in the style of the classic 1980s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, but the gag is that they're all like in their 40s and some of their lives aren't going so hot. They're depressed, or they're out of work, or they're getting divorced, or
yeah, it was too real.
Yeah, it spoke to me as a dude in my 40s.
Yeah, it was like, oh, this is hitting close to the bone.
Yeah. Very funny, and the animation was impressive. I don't know how long it took them to put this together, but really funny.
I think it took them like a week, because like I remember when we talked about this, like I thought it was a sketch that they just had lying around that was already done, and they just were able to put it on after the because the pandemic and we can't make anything new. But apparently, they tweeted out saying, "Oh no, we created this like within the week that we were in quarantine," and that surprised me and
that is unbelievable. Like, I'm not an animator, but I've had some training in animation, and I know enough to know that's a massive amount of work. Even if you're doing it in like something like Flash animation, which I don't know if this was all hand drawn. If this was all hand drawn, oh God bless them. Utterly amazing. Amazing.
It's an amazing feat. They were able to pull it off and pump it out.
Yeah. So good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Got another one?
Yeah. Well, going back to the Scarlett Johansson episode, I got to go with the Macy's children's clothes commercial sketch.
Oh, yes. Okay. I had that on my list. I didn't rewatch this one, so it's not real fresh in my mind. So if you want to describe it, go right ahead.
So basically it starts off as a regular Macy's commercial for about, Christmas is here. Here's, we have sweaters half off for women, and, pullovers half off for the men. And it looks exactly like a Macy's commercial. Like if you just saw that, you would think it was a Macy's commercial, but then they go into, and we have clothes for the kids too. And then they kind of go off in this direction about how, difficult it is to dress up kids, and like, they pee their rompers because the mom didn't, hadn't had enough time to take it off, and like how difficult it is to put on kids' shoes, and if you buy a Frozen T-shirt with the wrong character, they'll be upset, and it just goes off into this direction of like all the kind of trials and tribulations that parents go through when it comes to dressing their kids for Christmas.
Yeah, a sketch like this is fun because that just so much of it likely arose out of the writers' lives and their adventures or misadventures as parents. And it's one of those things that I look at and I'm just like, I'm not a parent, and thank God I'm not a parent. I cannot take that. Absolutely. I don't think I have that in me, man.
And also you'll probably see it in the episode 2, where also in the commercial you see, like for the first time, Mikey Day's son is in that commercial.
Oh, his debut as an SNL cast member.
Yeah, yeah. Like he's putting when Mikey Day's putting a sweater over his son, saying, "Oh, stop squirming! It would be on if you just stop squirming." And that's his son.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool. Shout out to Mikey Day's son.
Yay!
Yay. So let's see what else. I'm going to leap ahead to the John Mulaney episode. This was like I think the first sketch after the monologue, which was the Sound of Music parody with Rolf and Liesel, where they're doing the famous song 16 going on 17.
Mm.
And John Mulaney's Rolf tells Cecily Strong's Liesel, well, actually, I'm 37.
Yeah.
And it turns out he is a much older man who is dating a 17-year-old Liesel, and his age just keeps inching up as the sketch goes on. I really enjoyed this one, partly because my family used to rewatch The Sound of Music whenever it was on TV once a year.
Oh, so this one hit you in the feels, as the kids say.
It did. It was a nice little nostalgia trip for it, and and also technically very impressive. They got the look of the movie right down. They did the music well. It's just great.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna have John Mulaney on your show, you're gonna get some sketches about musicals. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah, he's that's one of the fun things about John Mulaney is he's now hosted 3 times, and we have certain expectations of things that he is going to do.
Yeah, just like, oh, all right, I'm gonna get some Les Mis or Cats or whatever musical from Broadway into this episode. All right, I'm in for it.
Yeah, and there are enough other musical theater geeks on the show. Like I know Cecily Strong is obviously a musical theater geek, and like a few others. I think like Kate and Edie probably are, maybe not to the degree that Cecily is, but yeah, it's fun to see them go to that well because you can really feel their enthusiasm for it come through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Theater kids.
So, got something else for us?
Sure. Well, let's go. I'll give a nod to this one. I'll admit this wasn't one of my favorite episodes of the season. The Jennifer Lopez, I thought it was a pretty weak episode. But this one sketch, Potty PM, the pre-tape, I thought was pretty hilarious.
Refresh my memory on this one because I think I've forgotten a lot of the Jennifer Lopez one.
Okay. Well, this one is a Kyle Mooney joint where it's he talks about how, like, you know, when you're in bed and you're sleeping, but you have to wake up to pee, and you have to go all the way over to the bathroom to use the bathroom. It's such an inconvenience. So he invented a thing called Potty PM, where you hook up like this tube to your junk, and then put the hose to the toilet, and then you can just pee while you're sleeping. And then
it's the perfect system.
Sorry?
It's the perfect system.
Perfect system. And then like Jennifer Lopez comes into frame saying, oh, and you have, you know, Potty PM for women too, right? Because, you know, women have to use the bathroom at night too. And then Kyle has this like befuddled look on his face, like, oh yeah, you know, like how he doesn't know how a woman's body works in order to pee. He's like, oh yeah, you
sure.
Yeah, like, oh, you pee through like your urethra or your clitoris or something.
Yeah, he has just no understanding of how that works.
Yeah, like through the urethra and the fallopian tubes, or no, he says Filipino tubes. Like it's like just because I didn't expect the commercial to take that turn.
Uh-huh.
I thought it was pretty funny. Like, and I mean, I'm not a huge Kyle Mooney fan, but like I will give it due. Like, that was a pretty funny sketch.
Yeah. I mean, when Kyle Mooney is on his game, when he hits hard, you know, and he seems to do strong sketches when it's stuff about bathroom stuff. I still have fond memories of that. The thing where, like, to keep yourself from going to the bathroom in the office all the time, you had like these potted plants that were actually pots you could drop a deuce in.
Oh yeah! Oh god!
And then somebody starts complaining about the smell, and yeah, and it was playing the guy in that, and I think that was a Beck and Kyle joint, and Wow, that's just like, whoa, where does that come from?
I don't know. He just thinks different.
Yeah, yeah, he's an offbeat lad, that Kyle Mooney.
Yeah. So
Uh,
do you have any more? What do you got? What do you got?
let's see. I think I have to give a special shout out to another expected John Mulaney, uh, rec- almost a recurring sketch, but sort of a stylistic recurring sketch. Airport Sushi, which is
Ah,
following in the of Diner Lobster, which was co-written by Kyle Mooney and Colin Jost, which is just, I mean, these sketches just have to be seen to be believed. I mean, if I just described all the ins and outs of it, it would sound like I was just tripping. Um,
John,
but
are you on psychedelics right now?
but I mean, it's basically like somebody going to a place and getting some sort of sketchy food item, and then it turns into this big production number. Um, and this one even had a cameo by David Byrne and a cameo by a flying Jake Gyllenhaal. And yeah, already it sounds like I'm tripping.
Yeah.
But these are always fun just because of how weird and out there they get.
Yeah, they get weird and out there, and also very specifically New York too, because like
Yes.
I mean, even though Mulaney is originally from Chicago, he is very, I mean, he's just kind of ingratiated himself into the New York culture, and like
Yeah.
so, like the first one was about New York diners, and then it was New York bodegas, and then now New York airports. It's just very like I don't know. He hits on the very specific things that only people in the tri-state area would pick up on.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder, I really don't have a perspective on how these sketches would play in middle America. I mean, like with the airport sushi, do people travel enough to get that? I mean, because sushi's not necessarily popular in other parts of the US. So I don't know. I don't know. Are they just befuddled by this or do they get into it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like sushi. What's that?
Yeah.
Is that like beef jerky or something?
Yes, it is like beef jerky.
Okay. All right.
So,
Yeah. I guess I'll say one more. I guess. Yeah.
okay.
There's a couple like I'll. I like could give a little nod to, but nothing really. I want to get too much into. Um. But let's talk. Well, we never talked about the Woody Harrelson episode. Like I talked about the apple picking ad. I thought was really good too from that episode.
Apple picking ad. This has been far enough in the past that I think my brain has erased that. So refresh my memory on the apple picking ad.
Well, yeah, it was the first episode of the season, and it was a commercial for a place that does apple picking in upstate New York, the part of upstate New York that still has Confederate flags. And
Mm-hmm.
it's an 80 and Kate joint where it's like the two of them play sisters, and it's just them talking about their apple picking farm, where for only $40 you can walk away with $10 worth of apples.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this one. Yeah, I remember thinking this one was cute.
Yeah, yeah, it was kind of done in the vein of um, like when Kate and 80 get together, it's always like them selling like either like they're apple picking or the supermarket from the at home a couple of weeks ago, or
Or
uh,
whiskers are we?
whiskers are we, or the choir clothing um, commercial they did for the Chance the Rapper episode. It's just like kind of them
Mhm.
riffing off each other and having a good time. And
Yeah,
I really dug this one.
yeah. They do enjoy doing stuff together like that, and it's always a kick to see that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Or
this was all what?
I'll qualify that slightly. It's usually a kick to see that. There've been a few times they've done it, it hasn't quite worked for me, but it's usually a kick to see that.
Right. I mean, I know we've talked about like usually when Kate and 80 get together, it can either be amusing and fun, or it can be like all right, like just or it could just be like them just amusing themselves, which has happened on a few occasions. But this was one of the occasions where I dug it.
Yeah, yeah. I think I will also. I think I'm about done with my favorites of the year, but I want to give a special shout out to a new sort of semi-recurring bit on the show is Cecily Strong just playing with dogs.
Yes, Dog Court. We saw the debut of Dog Court. Good lord.
Yes, yeah, and we also had the Hero Dog press conference, which both of those sketches they're basically just built around Cecily Strong interacting with dogs, and I am here for it. Um, Two things I love. I love seeing Cecily Strong in comedy sketches, and I love seeing doggies in comedy sketches. And usually something unexpected happens. So,
That's right. Two great tastes that taste great.
yep. So that's if we just did an entire show of like the best of Cecily Strong playing with dogs, I would watch that show and be very entertained.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll give like a quick shout out to Soul Cycle sketches. Just like
Mm-hmm.
I got a kick out of that. Do you remember the giant Cheeto sketch from that Woody Harrelson episode?
Yes, I do. I do remember that. That's one of the more memorable sketches from the season premiere.
Yeah, that still struck. Like I rewatched it again, and like I think like Sarah Lee, it's starting to grow on me a little bit more than it is when I first saw it. I mean, there was also the Inside the Beltway sketch where the costume designer came out there while on camera, which was a memorable moment.
Yeah. I notice in the favorites that we picked, I don't think we've really, outside of the middle aged mutant Ninja Turtle thing, we didn't really pick much of anything that came from the at home episodes. And there were some things that we were amused by. I mean, I have the Pornhub commercial and Let Kids Drink and another Masterclass Quarantine edition in that. But I think the SNL at home episodes, they were kind of more exceptions to the rule. They aren't what the show classically is, you know?
Yeah, no, I noticed that when I made my list too. Like, I mean, I enjoy the at homes, but I don't know. There's something with a live audience being there that it gives it that extra kick, that certain
Yeah.
electricity that you really can't get from at home.
Yeah, it definitely, I mean, it's a cliche, but yeah, the cliche is true. They really do feed off the audience energy. And so the SNL at home episodes, I think you just, as I said, you have to grade them on a curve a little bit. I mean, they're doing the best they can with limited resources. And I hope that we get through all this quickly enough that they don't have to do any more of those when they come back in the fall. Or, who knows? Maybe we'll see a delayed premiere. Maybe they won't come back until after their usual September premiere date.
Oh boy, I don't even want to think about it. Like I'm still hoping against all hope things will go back to semi-normal or some new
Oh
normal.
yeah, I mean, me too. But yeah, who knows? I have no prediction. I have no insight.
What do you know,
I
John?
yeah, we're all just muddling through and trying to take things day by day. But I hope they can get back to something approaching normal soon.
Yeah,
But that's our favorite sketches. I mean, I think overall it was a pretty good year.
yeah, like highs, lows. Um, yeah, so far, I mean, like I think this season, like they're kind of going in a good direction. I think last time or last season when we talked about it, we kind of wanted them to like sort of debut more of the newer cast members,
Mm-hmm.
trim down the cast because I think we felt the cast was a little bloated and oversized. I still sort of feel that way, but I think now that they're utilizing their newer people more and they're giving everybody a chance to kind of do what they do. Like the size of the cast really doesn't. I guess it's not as apparent to me. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think they could still stand to pare down the cast a little bit. I don't know if there's anyone in particular I'm especially rooting to leave, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone does leave between now and next season. I really hope that everybody sticks around, if for no other reason that like if like an at home episode, if that turned out to be like say Keenan's last episode, that would be a kind of a sucky way to end it.
Yeah, I mean
You
Keenan's
want
not
to be
going.
part of a real show.
Yeah, Keenan's not going anywhere. He's there. I really feel Keenan's like is gonna. We'll have to pry that show from his cold dead hands. Like I really think like he's just gonna be there. He's gonna ride it till the wheels fall right off.
It seems like it. It seems like it. Let's see. I also want to report on a couple things. I had some fun on the Twitter account, the SNL Nerds Show Twitter account this week, and I put up a few polls.
Ooh.
Um, when I re-listened to our season 44 interview show in preparation for this one, just to remember what we did format wise, um, I we went off on a tangent about the Wikipedia pictures, or the pictures that are on the various cast members' Wikipedia pages. And I discovered when I was looking them up over the course of the show that many of the SNL cast members don't have the most flattering pictures on their Wikipedia pages.
They do not. I mean, some of these pictures are just abysmal.
So I decided to just download them all and create a thread on our Twitter account and let the people decide. And some of them have very flattering pictures on their Wikipedia pages. Some of them do not.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, and let's. It looks like people's favorites were Beck Bennett. Beck has very nice, flattering profile picture from Wikipedia. It was taken at the San Diego Comic-Con a few years back. Colin has a pretty decent one. It's very close up, but I'd say it's generally a flattering picture of him. Let's see. Kyle, he also has a San Diego Comic-Con picture when he was doing some panel there. And Keenan looks like freaking James Bond on his picture.
Oh, he is styling and profiling.
Yeah, I mean, you could slap that on a GQ cover story, and I mean, that might be the best I've ever seen Keenan look. He's just like, he's looking suave.
Yeah. He had that picture ready for Wikipedia.
Yeah. And let's see. Chloe got a lot of votes, but I think that's a little disordered because she was up against Melissa Villasenor, who does not have a real flattering Wikipedia picture. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, no, it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, it was just taken, like, I think, backstage at a comedy show, and it looks like a bad driver's license photo. And Melissa's a much better looking person than that. So,
indeed.
But I think the worst has to be. I think the worst has to go to Mikey Day, because it's just this blurry camera phone picture of him in the middle of a stand-up show, and you can hardly tell.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
That's a bad one. Alex Moffat, he's also performing stand-up in his. It's not a bad photo, but he looks kind of deranged because it's just him in mid-sentence, and he's got like kind of bug eye thing happening.
Yeah, I don't want to say he looks like cocaine fueled, but it looks cocaine fueled.
Way to not say that he looks cocaine fueled. Yeah. He looks a little deranged. He looks like he's like stayed up all night, and he looks a little disheveled.
Yeah, oof.
And Cicely Strong, it's from, if I remember correctly, the Peabody Awards, but it's not a flattering picture just because they caught her like in mid-blink. And I'm just at a loss why anybody would look at that picture and be like, yes, this is the one that should be on her Wikipedia page.
Yeah, they got... So guys, go change that immediately on your page. Oh, and the Pete Davidson picture is really bizarre.
Yeah, he is squinting in and half squinting, half blinking. Not a flattering picture of him.
No, so guys, I don't know who you got to talk to, Mr. Wikipedia, I guess, but like I would send a high res professional picture to the Wikipedia folks stat.
Yeah, I mean, I know with Wikipedia, I think a lot of it's like they have to have rights to use that photo. So maybe like some of the high grade professional photos, they would have to pay to use those, and it has to be something that's either a private user uploads or something in the public domain. But yeah, we can do better than this for a lot of the SNL cast members.
I'm looking at the Mikey Day. Wow, this is terrible. Like,
it's awful, right?
It's like a bar show picture.
I know, it's low light, it's blurry, it's a full figure shot for no real reason. It's just weird.
This was definitely taken with an iPhone. This is really bad.
Oh, 100%. And they didn't have their flash on, so it's crappy because of that.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I also, back on May the 10th, I put up a what I thought might be a fun poll: which SNL cast member grew the best quarantine beard? Because a couple of them grew their beards out in isolation. And we had 28 votes in that. I put it between Beck Bennett and Kenan Thompson. I unfortunately totally forgot that Kyle also grew a quarantine beard. So I left him out of the poll stupidly. But Beck Bennett just squeaked ahead of Kenan with 53.6% of the votes. And Kenan was remaining 46.4%. And I got to say, I agree with these results. I think the beard was very flattering on Beck.
Fine, beautiful beard.
Yes. And I'm sure that Lauren prefers the male cast members to stay clean-shaven just because it makes it easier for them to play a variety of people. But I think the beard is very flattering on Beck.
Yeah. So, hey, Beck, I know I said on an earlier episode you look like a puffy Tony Stark, but I would say, keep the beard, man. You look great.
Wow. Okay, here we are being complimentary, and then you got to bring the puffy Tony Stark thing into it.
I keyed.
Beck, I just want to clarify that Darren's statement does not necessarily reflect the opinion of the SNL Nerds show or the Non-Productive Network.
Right. Okay. All right. Fine. So I'm out here all alone on my brave stance.
I am hanging you out to dry, my friend. But I got a little other news too. We gotten another review on Apple Podcasts.
Hey now, all right. So I have not read this. So
hit me with not read this. I literally just discovered this before we started recording. So I have read this, but Darren is going to be hearing it for the very first time. Let me just say. To start out, it is a 4-star review from Slacker Inc. And the headline is "A Personal Favorite with ... So here's what Slacker Inc. has to say. I do really like this podcast and look forward to it after every episode of SNL. Thank you very much. I can't in good conscience give it 5 stars, however, because one of the two hosts, well, let's just say a little bit of him goes a long way. And then it's sort of like gritted teeth, smiley face, I think. And then in parentheses, I won't say which is which because I'm not mean, and hopefully they are both glass half full guys and will quietly assume that the demerit is for the other guy. And then they say, overall, though, as a duo, they are still pretty darn good.
Okay.
I find this really amusing. I will say that my self-esteem is low enough that I read this and I do immediately assume you're talking about me as the one that you do not like.
Yes, and I'm delusional enough to believe that he's talking about you as well.
Okay, so we both agree that Slacker Inc. dislikes me. So
that's my takeaway.
Yeah. Okay. So. So what do you think of that, Darren?
I don't know. That's going to keep me up tonight. I don't know.
I know. I will say that a lot of the critical things that have been said on the podcast about the podcast in our reviews, they have stuck with me, and I could probably quote most of them back.
Oh dear. Oh, John. Oh man, you got to get out that apartment, man.
I'm sensitive, people.
Yeah.
So, I wonder how they like this episode. I wonder if there was too much of the one they don't like on this, or I don't know.
I don't know. Well, Thanks for that 4-star rating.
I mean, that's decent. It didn't really affect our overall rating. We're still at 4.5 stars out of 5, so that ain't too bad.
Yeah. Not too bad. We'll take it. And,
that's all right. It's certainly less hurtful than the person who said we didn't deserve mouths.
You know what? That's you are the glass half full guy. How about that? Yeah.
No. I'm a glass half empty guy because I remember that months after it was written about us.
I see. Okay. But this was better than that. So I don't know, man.
It's not the most critical thing that has been said about us. I will say that.
Well, it's not the first, and it won't be the last.
It won't be. I'm sure there are even more hurtful things coming in our future. So
Yeah, come at us, bros.
Well, don't come at us that hard. Well,
Oh
as I
yeah,
said, we're
yeah. All right. So we also got some tweets for about the when I put up that we were talking about season 45. If
oh
I
yeah,
could.
lay 'em on up.
All right. Ruby the Rube, friend of the show, says aside from the at-home episodes, what about this season do you think will be remembered down the line? And number two, she says, where should SNL go from here in season 46? What should they focus on next year, and what should they not focus on?
Do you want to tackle that, or should I?
Well, I'll just say real quick. Yeah, I mean, this season it'll definitely be remembered for the at-home episodes because like that's never been done.
Mm-hmm.
But I would also like it to be remembered for the first hiring of an Asian cast member.
Yeah, I think that is a definite milestone that should be noted. I think the Eddie Murphy show is also definitely going to be remembered, or I mean, it should be at the very least, because that was an event, a genuine event.
I agree. I should have said the Eddie Murphy episode too.
Yeah, so I think those are the top three. First, Asian American cast member, Eddie Murphy returning after how long? Like 30 years, 30 something.
Yeah, it's been decades.
Yeah, and the SNL at home episode. So I think, yeah, pretty notable season. They made some history.
Yeah, yeah. And as far as what they should do in season 46, I think they're already kind of doing it. Like they're putting new cast members out, out in the spotlight. They're taking. I've noticed they've kind of been taking more chances with their sketches. Like they're beginning more weirder with the stuff, like the Kyle Mooney stuff, and like A.D. Bryant and. One sketch that we didn't talk about, that hot tub Christmas time sketch, whereas like, which was really weird.
Yeah, that's the one where like Cecily Strong and Scarlett Johansson, they turn out to be ghosts.
Yeah, like dead strippers who are in a hot tub at the Hilton and they have a song to sing about how they died. Like, I mean, weird sketches like that are kind of hit and miss with me, but like I still do appreciate the fact that they're able to get that weird and take those big swings.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, I agree with that. I mean, as always, I think the emphasis should just be on trying to be as funny and as unexpected as you possibly can. I think it might be time to shake up Weekend Update again, just because we've had like 5 or 6 years of Colin Jost with Michael Che. Che. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing just a different dynamic in there.
It's fair enough. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Also, well, when Ruby posted this question, Dennis Wilson responded saying, "Oh, they should shrink the cast, do more pre-tapes, and have comedians and various acts like in the old days with Penn and Teller." What do you think about that?
I'm not against shrinking the cast. I do tend to like the SNL cast to be like lean and mean, like under a dozen people. I mean, I just think back to the original cast where you had like literally like 7 or 8 people, and that was great. And then when I first started watching the show on a regular basis, the Dana Carvey, John Lovitz cast, I think there were only, I think a max of 9 in that cast before they added Mike Myers. So I really enjoy it when it's like a smaller group of really versatile people. And what was the other question? I'm blanking on that, and I don't have the question up. I see it. Okay, do more pre-tape. I'm fine with the amount of pre-tapes that they have.
Yeah, because I mean, it's Saturday Night Live. It's a live show. That live energy is what makes the show different than any other sketch show or anything else out there. So if you have more pre-tapes,
exactly. Yeah, I think they can. They do have a habit of leaning on the pre-tapes a little more than I would like. One a show is plenty for the pre-tapes, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm fine with that. And as far as like having more stand-up comedians or magicians or whatever, like the Penn and Teller days, I actually kind of like that idea. Like that's something that they haven't done that in forever.
Yeah, that's really going back to when it was more of a true variety show. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing a little of that if it was like a cool performer like Penn and Teller. I know like they had Andy Kaufman on the very first episode. I know Joel Hodgson from MST3K. He performed on SNL back in the 80s.
Yeah, wasn't Harry Anderson as well?
Yeah, I believe Harry Anderson did do a thing. And yeah, there's a great classic Penn and Teller bit where they're performing on SNL, and then at the very end of the bit, we realize that they've been hanging upside down on the ceiling.
Oh, I love that bit. I love that bit.
I mean, it is incredible. And of course the studio audience was aware, but the audience at home was not. So, a little more of that. That might be fun. And, Dennis Wilson, I'd also just like to say, love your working with the Beach Boys.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, that's all right. It's a deep cut. Okay. And, I guess that's our episode. I think we're at a 128. We should maybe wrap this baby up.
Yep. Well, we're a little under that because we always have like a couple minutes of us BSing before we officially start recording. So we'll be a little under that.
Gotcha. All right. So,
if you're worried, don't worry. You're not missing out on anything terrific.
It's just ramblings and ramblings.
Yeah, the ramblings of two madmen.
Yes, absolutely. One of which goes a long way, apparently, to one commenter.
Yeah. So, sorry if we were particularly irritating for you. But glad you like the other guy. I kind of love that. It's like, overall, as a duo, I like them. I'm not too nuts about one of them, but as a duo, they're good.
We'll take that. Yeah. We'll take that.
We'll take it. We're not proud.
Oh boy! All right, so and that's our show, guys. Thanks for listening, and I guess next week, what are we doing next week?
What are we doing next week? We talked about there's a documentary about Daryl Hammond that's on some streaming service or another. You were wanting us to check that out?
Yes, on Netflix. There's a Daryl Hammond documentary called "Cracked Up." So we'll be chatting about that.
Let's do that. I'm in the mood for a good documentary. So, and I'm sure there'll be lots of interesting stuff to talk about there. But until then, if you want to follow us as a duo, where apparently we're the most palatable, you can follow us on Twitter, the SNL Nerds account at SNL Nerds Show, and you can also follow us on our individual Twitter accounts where you can just follow the one that you like. You can follow me if I'm the one you like at Trumbull Comic. That's TRUMBULL and the word comic.
And if I'm the one you like, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Darren Credible. That's DARIN Credible.
Yeah. So play favorites. We don't really keep track who's following both of us, so we'll never know.
You can DM us and be like, I like you more.
You're the one I really like. That other guy's lame.
He's so bad. You're so cool.
Yeah, you're so much funnier than the other guy.
Your bulbous head is great.
Another hurtful thing said about us that has stuck with us for months later.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring up these old wounds. Sorry.
No, you said bulbous head. I instantly knew what you were talking about, dude. So it stuck with me too.
I knew you would.
Yep. We're running a little catalog of all the little blows to our ego.
We're making a list.
We're checking it twice. We're gonna find out whose head is bulbous or nice.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, but okay, we've obviously long past the point where we're just utterly babbling now. So we're just going to sign off until we come back next week with Cracked Up, the Daryl Hammond documentary. But until then, Nerds out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.